Southland radio broadcaster Chris Dyack has just returned from Christchurch, where for the past 2 months he's been on the air in New Brighton. After February's big quake, he packed up equipment and headed north to help get information to those in one of the city's hardest hit areas. Sarah Bedford spoke to him about what he was doing in Christchurch and plans to keep the station on air.
If we had an earthquake, we were on the air within minutes giving people information, and people came to rely on that, even in that very short space of time. They wanted to know what was going on, whether their area was affected, and what information they could find out that they couldn't hear on the mainstream radio. And that was often the case, because there were a couple of times when there was a sizable quake, and the mainstream stations, particularly in the weekend, were on what they call automation, coming out of Auckland, and we were live providing the information there and then on the spot. And that was what the whole concept was, to give local information immediately, if not sooner.
Now, you have just come home, but the station's still going.
Yes, we've decided to get those volunteers, or give them an opportunity of continuing with the radio station. So what we've done is, and this I think is totally unique, we've set up mini studios, or we're going to set up mini studios at each of those volunteers' places, all 5 of them, and they are going to be able to link into the station at a moment's notice from their home studios and link into the radio station to maintain that immediacy that is so necessary.
What's the feeling like in Christchurch now?
That just about says it all. When is it going to stop? When are we ever going to come right? People are leaving in their droves and they're walking out of their homes. They're literally walking away from it, and in our area, in New Brighton, it's just been complete devastation, and people are devastated. Most of the people that I spoke to were pleased that the local city council were doing their very best, but some of them are never coming back to their homes. Some of them are going to be permanently without a home and without a place to be. What
were the big challenges facing you guys up in Christchurch?
Was having enough people at the right times when the earthquakes hit to be able to give a good service. We had these wonderful volunteers, but because they're volunteers, they're not always available. And because nobody was paid, we just, people had to drive to get there. We had to try and feed them because they were working long hours. We were working anything up to 19 hours a day, some of us. And it was just keeping those volunteers happy and cheerful, and to keep them doing a great job like they were doing, and keep them motivated. That was probably one of the greatest tasks, was just keeping them alive and kicking.
A radio station set up in Christchurch to help quake victims has been vandalised overnight. Chris Dyack, the founder of Radio New Brighton, came to work this morning at 4:30 to find intruders had trashed the caravan he's been broadcasting from. He believes equipment has been stolen and other gear smashed. Radio New Brighton was created in March to get quake information out to Christchurch residents.
It's a darn nuisance, and because we're voluntary, of course, we're not very rich. And in fact, this is costing us money, so we can ill afford to have anything happen, let alone have anything stolen.
What a sport. And
all right, well, as we heard earlier in the news, a radio station set up in Christchurch to help quake victims has been vandalised overnight. On the line now is Chris Dyack from Radio New Brighton. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Corin.
What has happened to your little station in the caravan? You turned up at 4:30 and it's been pretty badly damaged, has it?
Well, yes, we've been, in the words of the famous Bob Parker, munted. We've had our own little munting this morning. Somebody decided that they wanted to nick our computer in 1 or 2 bits and pieces, and got into the caravan and left a rather terrible mess behind in the meantime. However, we are actually to air at the moment broadcasting a breakfast show from the New Brighton caravan, but a bit of a mess, I've got to say.
What... you say you're able to keep going. I mean, has it set you back? Is it quite a lot of stuff? I mean, are you going to need to get that replaced?
Well, yes. My whole life is on this little netbook, which the inimitable they have taken this morning. But it's a netbook, and since you've got a gazillion viewers and listeners this morning, if you keep an eye out for a little netbook with the missing A key, I wouldn't mind it back, because my whole life is there. So far as I haven't done an inventory check yet, because we're still rather hoping that the police are going to come across from the police station immediately opposite us, which is around about 30, 40 metres away. and come and visit us and maybe do a bit of a forensic check and see if they can pick up any fingerprints and what have you.
Well, let's hope someone in the station's watching right now and perhaps they might make their way across to check things out.
Rather hoping so.
Listen, just remind people what you're doing there. I mean, you're essentially trying to help the community. Disappointing for you that somebody has done this.
Yes, well, in the media you get used to problems happening, and we brought our caravan up from Invercargill with the express purpose of helping out with the earthquake recovery, and we chose New Brighton as being one of the areas which was severely affected. So we're actually here as volunteers helping out the community, and the interesting thing is, in about 2 days' time, we're actually going to give the radio station away because we set it up. It's been so popular that it's been taken to heart by the local community that we've decided, rather than shut it down and go home back to Invercargill, we've decided to give it away, literally.
Well, thank you very much, Chris, for coming on the show. Hopefully the community will rally round and see if we can get those things back, and that whoever's done this will be found.
Lovely, nice to talk with you, Corin.
You too, cheers.
It'd be nice if whoever did it just gave the stuff back.
Yeah, pretty easy, really.
Yeah.
Just bring it back, drop it back, no
it back.
questions asked, just, yeah.